Hello creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations. Today we're using the Painted Poppies bundle to create two different designer series paper cards. The first card we're making, we are going to create our own designer series paper, and the second card uses the Peaceful Poppies designer series paper. I'm starting by cutting two card bases from Whisper White cardstock, and then I'm going to take a scrap piece of Whisper White and the two poppy images from the Painted Poppies stamp set, and I'm going to stamp those in my Memento ink pad onto that scrap piece of paper. I'm alternating small poppies and large poppies so that I get a good mix, and I will be coloring these in with Stampin' Blend markers. I'm also going to stamp one large poppy and two small accent poppies. To color in the poppies using my Stampin' Blend markers, I'm first going to color in with the light marker, and then I'm going to go in and color with the dark marker, and I'm using Poppy Parade, of course. Then I'm going to use the light color again to blend it in, and then take the color lifter to it to lighten it up. And then I have a light pool party Stampin' Blend that I'm going to outline the poppies on the lower half of this scrap piece of paper. The lower half I'm going to use as my designer series paper for the stripe on my card, and the poppies on the top I'm going to actually cut out with the coordinating die cuts from the Big Shot, and I'm going to be popping those up as embellishments on the front of my card. Before I cut those poppies out with the die cuts, I'm going to trim down my DSP. You can find all of the measurements and materials for this card on my blog at MKre8tions.com. I'm using a scrap of basic black cardstock, and I'm cutting that on my mini paper cutter into 1/2-inch strips. And they just need to be wide enough to go across the front of the card base. These strips are going to frame our handmade DSP so that our images really stand out and pop. I'm going to use some snail adhesive to adhere this DSP to the front of our card, as well as those black strips to the top and bottom of that DSP strip. The length of these cardstock pieces can vary. You're just going to trim them off using some scissors. And with those other accents that we colored in and cut out, I'm going to be popping those up off of the card and out of those black strip frames with some dimensionals. From the Peaceful Moments stamp set, I am using the thank you sentiment, and I'm going to stamp that in the lower right hand corner of this card. And finally, with some of our liquid glue, I'm going to dot a few pieces here and there and use those gorgeous Peaceful Poppies sequins to accent this card. This card was inspired by a Pinterest post by Kimberly. I will link her in the description box below. And now we're moving on to the next variation of this card, which uses the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper from the Peaceful Poppies Suite Bundle. When I first filmed this card, I wasn't sure which piece I wanted to use because they were all so beautiful, but I wanted to choose a piece that would allow me to pop out some of those poppies so it looks like it's popping out of the card base. After choosing my designer series paper, I am going to trim it down. You can find all of the measurements on my blog, MKre8tions.com. You just need a piece that is wide enough to go across the card front diagonally. So I'm just trimming this down to about 6 inches, but you could go with a little less. And again, I am trimming a couple of 1/2 inch pieces of basic black cardstock for those accent strips. Once I have my pieces, I'm going to snail adhere them to the front of my card base. So I'm starting with that DSP, and then I'm going to put the black strips on the top and bottom of this strip. Alternately, if you wanted to show a little bit more of that DSP, you could put these strips on the very top or very bottom instead of directly onto the paper. I decided to use some of those die cuts from the Peaceful Poppies Elements, and I really like the way that they looked with this designer series paper I'm using, but they weren't quite bright enough for me, so I decided to take my Stampin' blends and color them in. I just followed the dark spots with the dark Stampin' blend marker and the light spots with the light Stampin' blend marker. This color is Poppy Parade, and they blended together beautifully on this little die cut piece. I also did the leaves using Old Olive. I tied a little bow using the crinkled seam binding ribbon in Whisper White, and I'm going to put that underneath these little poppy die cuts with a glue dot. I'm going to use our liquid adhesive to put 3 little dots in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to use those amazing Peaceful Poppies sequins to accent this card. And finally, I'm going to use the Happy Birthday sentiment from the Peaceful Moments stamp set, and this card is finished. What do you think? I really love how both of these cards turned out. If you did too, please give the video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified of future videos. You can find me on the web at MKre8tions.com and on social media with @MKre8tions. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!